let's make a virtual machine on this Macintosh. I'm using VMware Fusion as my hypervisor. That's the system that allows me to virtualize the hardware on this computer. If I was going to do this on a Windows computer, I would use VMware Workstation. So VMware Fusion for Macintosh and VMware Workstation for Windows. There are other options like Oracle VirtualBox and UTM. Out of all the choices, as of right now, March 2026, I would select the VMware products, even though each one of them have their strengths and blind spots. So to start, I've already got VMware Fusion running. I'm going to click New, and I'm going to install from a disk or a disk image. So one step that you have to do before you get to this stage is, of course, install VMware Fusion or VMware Workstation. And the other part is getting the ISO image of whatever operating system you want to use to install into your virtual machine. In this case, I'm using Ubuntu 24. It is the long-term supported release of Ubuntu. And I've already got that ISO image over here. It's rather large, so it does take a few minutes to download or even longer. But I've got that stored on my computer. So in preparation, install VMware. Download that ISO image, and then you can install from a disk or from disk or image. Click continue. We're going to select where we're going to get this. So I have it in my documents folder under Ubuntu. There it is. Open it up. And there you have it. Now we click continue. The defaults are probably okay. Remember, if you don't have a lot of RAM or a relatively performant CPU, virtual machines are going to be really, really slow. In this case, I'm making a virtual machine that is the server version of Ubuntu, which means there's no graphical user interface. It's just text. And this doesn't require too much RAM or too much CPU power. And I'm just going to save it in the default location. I'm just going to use the default name. And here's where, if I click in this window, it will capture my mouse. And now it's essentially this is the virtualized hardware, and I'm communicating to it via my keyboard. My mouse has no impact in this window over here. All right, so we're going to just go through this pretty quickly. The defaults 9 times out of 10 are good enough if you're not sure. This is for the keyboard layout. I'm using an English layout. I'm going to use the Ubuntu server, and I can make it smaller by selecting minimized, but I've got plenty of disk space and I don't really care, so the regular distribution is fine. I'm not going to add the third-party drivers. I don't think I need that, and if I do need that, I can sort it out later. It's going to use my Mac's Ethernet interface as the Ethernet interface for the virtual machine. And there's some options that we'll look at about how to communicate to your guest operating system from your host. So here the guest is Ubuntu and the host will be Mac OS. I don't have a proxy, so I can leave that blank. If you do have a proxy, then you'll know about it and you know how to configure it. If you don't know what this is, just assume that you don't have one. So now it's going to check to see where Ubuntu has its packages, and it's contacting us.ports.ubuntu.com to get the package list. It's got it. I'm going to use the entire disk because it's not the disk of my computer that's being used. It's a virtual disk, and this virtual disk is approximately 20 gigabytes, and it's going to be shared with my current disk. From my Macintosh's point of view, it's going to look like a file. From the guest operating system, Ubuntu, it's going to look like a disk. So I'm going to use the defaults here. Just tab through this until I get down to done. These are the defaults, and it's perfectly good for what I need it for. Hit done. And now we're going to select continue, and now it's going to go through the installation process. Oh, forgot. We got to say who we are. I'm potentially going to be using this with Vagrant. So I might select things that will line up with using with Vagrant. Vagrant's a a way you can manage virtual machines. For the sake of this example, I'm just going to pretend I'm going to use it personally. So I might put in my name, my service name. I'm going to just call it Ubuntu 24 username. I'll pick a password. There we go. Skip for now. You don't need to enable Ubuntu Pro for this thing. Ubuntu Pro provides additional package support so that it provides, if there's a security or some other type of maintenance release for some package that's supported by Canonical who makes Ubuntu, then you can get it through their Ubuntu Pro program. We're going to skip that. We're going to install an OpenSSH server so that we can log into our guest operating system from our host. You can import your SSH key, so if you know what this is, you'll know what to do here. If you don't, just turn on OpenSSH server. And if you forget, you can always do it later. I don't need to install anything extra. If I need to, I can do it later. And now it's going to be doing the installation. All right, now the installation is done. I have the option to reboot now. I'm going to reboot now. So there's it pretends as though there's like this fake CD-ROM. So I'm supposed to remove the installation media, and sometimes it's not that obvious how to remove it. To get your mouse back, you push Control and Command on a Macintosh. I don't remember what it is on Windows. And I'm going to see if there's a way that I can eject. No, there's nothing connected. Like it's not connected, so I'm just going to assume it's not there. Push Enter. And it's rebooting. And there you have it. Now the installation is done. I can use that username that I created earlier with the password that I created earlier, and I can log in. If I want to know the IP address shows up right here. That's the IP address of our computer. And so if I open up a terminal on my own computer, so this is the console. The window I'm shaking is the console of our virtual machine. This is a terminal on my Macintosh. And using that information there, I can use that username at that IP address. And it's going to say, hey, do you recognize this fingerprint? And, you know, it's this guest operating system. So I'll say yes. And now it asks for the password. Type in the password. And now I'm logged in. I'm logged in on the console right here. And I'm logged in remotely via SSH to that guest. If I see who's there, I can see that I'm logged in from a terminal. And I've got myself logged in on a console. I find using the terminal on my Macintosh a lot easier to communicate with the VM, because this window right here is a console. I don't have the use of my mouse, and you know it's not that featureful. Whereas with this guy, it's a lot more comfortable. I can log out by just typing out. To restart or to turn off the computer, yeah, I'll do it remotely. Log in. Here I am. And I can just use all the regular commands that I would on a Unix system or a Linux system. I'm going to ask it to shut down. Now, type in my password, and now it's going to shut down that computer. Here I'm popped back out to the prompt on my Macintosh. And here, this is the little selector. You can see you've got your virtual machine right there, and it's not running right now. You can configure extra stuff by right-clicking on it and going into settings and changing stuff. But that really quickly is how you can install Ubuntu server onto a VM using VMware Fusion. The steps for VMware Workstation is very similar.